I have some really exciting news to share with you. The brand Enfants Deprimes has released what I think is the best collection they have maybe ever done. It's their Spring-Summer 2023 collection, and I have some pieces here from that collection that I want to show you to highlight how far this brand has come and the strides they're making and the really innovative work that they're doing. But first, who are Enfants Deprimes? They are an American, Parisian, French hybrid brand that has been around for some years now, describes themselves as nihilist punk couture, and I think never has that been more true than it is right now with these recent collections. And I think it's no surprise that these huge leaps forward in the brand's design and construction have happened at the same time that they're making some big changes with how they're structuring the brand itself and how they operate. For instance, you may have noticed if you're a fan of E.R.D. that their prices have increased. This stuff just keeps getting more expensive. And you also may have noticed that they're just not going on sale as much. Like some of the, more legacy stockists like Essence will still have some fairly big E.R.D. sales, but they are expanding who they are letting carry the brand, and pretty much all of those boutiques and websites and things, they are not putting their E.R.D. on sale. And that's having a knock-on effect across the entire E.R.D. market. If you go onto Grailed or any of these resale sites, prices are skyrocketing there too. So I don't know if that means it's a good time to get into E.R.D., or if we're now at a peak and eventually it's going to crash. So I don't want to make any recommendations there, but I just know that my collection is probably worth like twice as much as it was a year ago, and that is wild to think about. But let's talk about the subject of this video. I have 3 new pieces from E.R.D. that I think are among the best they have ever created. It's from the Spring-Summer 23 collection, and this one I actually reviewed on the channel. I watched this show, I checked out all the looks, and as a runway show, I thought it was very good, but not the brand's best. And it wasn't until this stuff started releasing to retailers and showing up online that I really started to appreciate it on that deeper level, because these pieces as separates are incredible. Some of the best pieces E.R.D. has ever done. And I think that's enough preamble here. We've got to start looking at these pieces. So let's check out the first piece. All right, first up, this is the night/morning shirt, a camp collar, short sleeve black shirt, kind of like a faded black, and there is so much to talk about here. First, on the pricing, I just want to highlight this to explain how far things have come. I think in past seasons, I bet this would have been somewhere between like $700 to $1,000. This season is $1,300. Yes, you heard that right, but that's not the most important part. The most important part is that they are now, with pieces like this, doing hangers that come with the pieces. This is a real E.R.D. branded hanger. Both of the shirts we're looking at today have this hanger, and I think that's just a sick little addition. I love having some E.R.D. hangers to throw in the collection. But let's talk about this shirt first of all. Probably the first thing you're going to notice is the insane all-over graphic, both at the front and the back. I think the back graphic is actually even cooler. It has these little devil demon people, this distressed woman, which goes well with like the boy in chain sweater that they did, some of the older Loro Piana stuff. I really like the aesthetic. You've got some really light branding in here with Enfants inside one of these guys, actually both of them, and then the address in Paris underneath at the bottom. But I think the most impressive thing about this is the ways in which they've moved forward, both in terms of materials and construction, and just what they're doing with their design. There's a lot more thought being put into it now, I would say. First, I want to talk about something that I started getting into in a previous video, which is that both of the shirts we're looking at today were made in Italy, and that is something that the brand just did not do before. They did pretty much everything in the USA, and I think a couple jeans in Japan, but that was really it in terms of countries of origin. And I think it's so interesting to see that for these more tailored type of pieces, they are going to the fashion capital of Italy, where they have the most probably mature processes for creating luxury clothing at this level. And next, I want to talk about the material, because this was just like a genius choice here. I think they couldn't have been smarter because this is made out of lyocell, which also goes by the name Tencel. It's something that back in the day, I see a lot in like vintage Japanese brands, like older Yohji Yamamoto stuff. I think a lot of it was lyocell, and it has this incredible weight to it. And also it's kind of like if you ever felt like an ultra suede or something, it has that kind of feel, a slightly leathery feel, but also with a bit of silkiness or satin kind of added into it. It's so interesting, and there's an absurd amount of weight to this as well. Usually with a short sleeve camp collar shirt, you're looking for lightness and airiness, but this has a dark heaviness that adds to that nihilist punk attitude that the brand has in general. But then there are also some really smart things they've done with how they've put the print together. What I love is that the print goes up and then the collar opens up and there's print all the way down inside the button closure for a solid few inches, so that if this were closed all the way, there's no button there, you can't close it all the way, but even if you were, there's print under there. But then leaving it open, no matter how much you open it up, you could unbutton this entire thing and you would have print going down on the inside, even if the piece starts flipping outwards at the closure, which is a really nice bit of attention to detail that I think should not go unnoticed. There's some other small things to note here that I think are really interesting. The kind of cuffed sleeves are a really nice touch, and again, add to that heaviness. The buttons are branded now. If you go along the sides of the buttons, it says Enfants Deprimes around the outside of them. And there's a really interesting thing they did with the cut too, which is that the back comes down quite a bit further than the front. So you get this very, I don't know, it really does have a punk vibe to it, like some of the older 70s and 80s kind of like trash punk vibes. I feel like you'd see this type of fit on those, and it kind of just harkens back to a different era that I feel like you don't see all that often. So yeah, for so many reasons, this is one of my new favorites from the brand, and I think kind of an instant classic. This next one is, it is a heater. This is the Untitled 77 Lake Geneva shirt, and this one, I think, aside from maybe the Mao layered t-shirt, which is instantly iconic, I think this may end up being the most fondly remembered piece from the entire collection, because it does everything that E.R.D does so well, and it does it like to the maximum extent. This is the maximalist dream of an Enfants Deprimes piece. So this shirt, oh boy, where to start? Let's start up top at the collar. So once again, we have this open spread kind of camp collar, but this time it is on a long sleeve shirt, which gives it a completely different kind of feel and changes the ways in which you'll wear it, the ways you'll layer it. So I think it's a great complement to that last one. The collar, it's a very, very wide open collar, and you get this screen printed star print all the way around, different levels of darkness, and it's this kind of like hand-drawn vibe, which you get all over the entire thing. There's almost, on the design front, there's almost like too much to go over here. You've got this kind of like Rottweiler-y hand-drawn print. Everything is very like sketchy and hand-drawn, this kind of more anime character down towards the bottom. You get all sorts of handwritten stuff, kind of like typewriter-y stuff, these weird, off the beaten path type stream of consciousness thoughts. You get some kind of like gothic branding at the back. Everything here is incredibly dark. Again, that nihilist punk vibe, but doing it in an elevated way. Like I feel like I've seen Helmut Lang do pieces kind of like this, but this is doing it in that signature E.R.D way. The fabrication on this one is really interesting. It's actually a mix of cotton and elastane. It doesn't have a lot of stretch, but if you get in close, you can see it has a slightly Oxford-y kind of canvasy type of feel. And like the last one, it was also made in Italy, which again is a new thing for the brand, but something they're seemingly going to be going towards more and more as time goes on. And this one, I'm absurdly excited about, but I feel like it's also one that I'm gonna have to be careful with because of that fabrication. It's a bit stiff, so I'm gonna have to keep it very carefully, make sure it doesn't get too wrinkled, maybe do some iron and bust out that iron, that steamer every once in a while, because this is one that you want looking nice and clean, I would say. I feel like there's so much more I want to say about this piece, like the guy at the back, the rat on the sleeve, this weird confessional print that's almost hidden down at the bottom of the back, these kind of wider split sides, the very like classic kind of dress shirt cuffs, but then mixed with this spread open kind of like scumbaggy collar. There are choices being made here, and to me at least, they are the right ones. All right, the final piece we're going to be looking at here is an accessory, and it's one that I'm in love with. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it because I have an entire video on E.R.D accessories, including a belt that you should absolutely check out. I'll link it down in the description if you want more details on this. But this right here is a studded belt from the brand. This is the yellow 2-centimeter version, and there's so much happening here that is working out great. The buckle, the detailing with these roses, which is a staple of the brand, the craftsmanship there is absolutely fantastic. You get E.R.D at the other end, kind of like burned into the metal tip. You get this iron cross going over to close the belt. And the iron cross is something I'll probably have to dedicate more time to in another video because there's a lot there, and even I don't know how I feel about it, but you can't deny that it does look good here. And it's on this like hand-done leather belt. These are like hand-hammered studs here, and on this thinner version here, I think it's much more wearable and a bit less hot topic-y looking. I have the thicker version, which has the spiked studs. With these circular studs, it looks a lot more approachable, I would say. You also get this really interesting like yellow painted, almost taped strip going all the way down, which is gonna make it, I think, pop quite a bit more. And what I really love about these is you can tell how much hand detailing is put into them. At the back, they have this like oiled fuzziness that I don't think any other major luxury brand would let something go out the door this way, but that kind of handmade feeling is what sets E.R.D apart from the rest, and I love that these accessories have this incredible handmade quality to them that makes them feel special in a way that other big brands' accessories just don't. They feel mass-produced, and this is anything but that. So we're going to be using this to tie our fits together, and speaking of, I think that's the last thing we need to do. We cannot get through an E.R.D video without actually putting these on. So we're going to do 2 different try-ons here. We'll wear this belt for both of them, but we'll try on that first short sleeve black shirt, and then we'll do the long sleeve white Lake Geneva shirt, and then we'll call it a day. So let's throw these on and see how it goes.